Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. Marine here for FAWN. Today we are going to make this Give It a Whirl pirate scene. On the front we have a pirate map showing the way to a secret treasure chest. And when you give it a whirl, we are taken to this treasure in the jungle. I had so much fun making this card and I hope it will inspire you. We have the Give It a Whirl die set. Ahoy matey for most of the images and the greetings. The Kangarific add-on for the rocks, grass, flowers and lizards. Toucanduit for one of the toucans, the small leaves and flower. Critters in the jungle for the tropical leaves and the ivy. Critters from the past for the palm tree. Superstar for the telescope that I am going to turn into a spyglass. And we have the spider from Booyah because, in my opinion, every tropical scene needs a couple of scary spiders. And that's why I'll never set a foot in the jungle. So I started off by cutting a Slimline Bristol smooth panel. And I am going to stencil this panel. So I placed the Give It a Whirl die and some of my images to know how tall the sand border needs to be. So I did a pencil mark to remember it, and now I am going to stencil my piece of paper. I placed my panel on my sticky mat with a Slimline hillside stencil on top, and I am going to create a sand border using antique linen and vintage photo oxidings. So now we are going to work on the upper part of the panel. And I am first going to color the whole section with salvaged patina oxide ink. This will give us a nice and even base for our tropical background. Next, we are going to bring the jungle vibes using the tropical leaves background stencils, along with peacock feathers oxide ink. I am going to start on the left side with one of the stencils. Next, I will do the right side, and then I will do the same with the second stencil. And obviously, these are not Slimline stencils, so we are going to have a separation in the middle of the panel, but that's totally fine because our interactive panel will cover it. So now I am just adding a tiny bit of peacock feathers oxide ink on the top edge. And next I am going to add lots of textures. The panel could definitely stay as it is now. It's super pretty with no texture, but it's me. I always want to keep adding more and more details. So I think we're good with the textures. Now it's time to color the images. As always, I stamped them all on some 80-pound Neenah solar white cardstock using jet black ink. I cut them using the matching dies, and I am going to use my alcohol markers to color everything. Lots of browns and greens with the chest, palm trees, leaves, and grays with the rocks, and some pops of colors with the flowers and cute lizards. And we are done with the coloring. So before we start working on the interactive feature, we are going to stick the images that go on each side. And to make sure that I don't encroach on the Give It a Whirl spot, I cut an extra circle out of scrap paper, and I am going to stick it where the final Give It a Whirl panel will go. And because today's video is going to be quite long, I placed all my images on my panel, just like so, and I will attach them off screen using 1mm and 2mm foam squares. So now let's work on our Give It a Whirl panel, and we are starting with the front circle. I cut a Bristol smooth piece of paper, temporarily taped the template on it, and I am going to place some of the Ahoy Matey stems inside the circle template. We want this front panel to be as flat as possible, so I am going to do some masking on those images. Now that I am happy with the placement, I am going to pick the stems with the door of my Misty tool. I am removing the gritting and the water, and I am going to stamp the images using jet black ink. Now I am stamping more mountains on the other side of the cross. And to stamp the water below the ship, I first need to mask that ship. I use the matching die to cut my mask out of post-it notes. And to place the mask properly, I use the lights above my desk to see through the paper, and this way make sure the mask is centered on the boat, and now I can step the water below the ship. I am also going to mark each corner of the template. This will help me to put it back in place later during the process. Now I am just going to remove the template and add a mask on top of each image. And once again, I use the matching dies to cut all those masks out of post-it notes. And now it's time to color this piece of paper. I am using antique linen and vintage photo Oxide inks again to get this sandy pirate map vibe. And off screen, I will add the same texture as I did on the Slimline panel. So now let's remove all the masks. And I am quickly going to connect some of the lines using my black memento pen. And next I am going to color the ship, mountains, water and windrows using my alcohol markers again. So I taped the template back in place using the 4 pencil marks I did before on each corner. I tucked the moving circle die inside the template with the cutting slot at about 2 o'clock, a couple of washi tape pieces to keep everything in place, and then a run through my die cutting machine to cut our front panel. And here we go. Now let's set it aside because we need to work on the inside panel. To save some time, I did the same stenciling work on my panel, and now I am going to stamp and emboss the second greeting at the top of that circle. I wanted to follow the curve of the circle, so I started by placing the stamp horizontally straight, picked it up with my Misty tool, and now I am just bending the stamp on each side, checking if it follows the curve. So now that I am happy with the curve, I am going to add some powder to the paper. This will make the embossing powder stick only to the ink. I am stamping my greeting with clear embossing ink. Next, I am pouring white embossing powder on top of the ink. And then I can melt and heat set the powder using my heat tool. And before I forget about it, we still need to add color outside the circle. So I am going to stick the inside circle template on top of my tropical panel and use hickory smoke and black soot oxidings to color the outside edges of my tropical circle. Now I am going to stick some images using liquid glue to once again keep everything as flat as possible. I am attaching the images that are likely to be cut, the chest, toucan and tropical leaves. Next I am going to cut this panel using the largest circle die. And to make sure it's lined up with the pirate map, I am first going to place the pirate map on top. And I am going to place the circle die on top, with the cutting slot tucked in the slot of the pirate map, just like that. I am using washi tape to keep the die in place. I am also removing the pirate map. And then I can send my panel to my die cutting machine. And this will cut through the chest and through the toucan's tail. And here we go, perfect. Off screen I am going to add more images using liquid glue. And now it's time to assemble our Give It a Whirl interactive panel. So I cut another moving circle. The color doesn't matter, so I used a piece of scrap paper. I also cut the connector piece out of copy paper and the tab out of some heavy cardstock. First, I am going to fold the connector piece in half, right on the score line. And I am going to add double-sided tape on one half, just like so. Next, I am going to flip my pirate map circle over. And I am going to attach the connector piece right up against the slot. Now I am adding double-sided tape on the other half of the connector piece. And I am going to stick the extra moving circle at the back of my pirate map, making sure to line up the slots just like that. Now let's bring the tab and the large circle back. With the tab I am going to add double-sided tape on this section. And I am going to put it right there, between the two moving circles, making sure that the curves are lined up. To decorate the tab, I cut the handle out of tight pull cardstock and the arrow out of yellow cardstock. I am sticking both pieces on the tab. And now we are ready to assemble the circles. I am flipping them both over and I am going to feed the tab on the right through the slot on the left, just like so. And then we just need to help the paper find his way. I like to play with the mechanism several times to make sure it goes smooth and well. I just wish I had cut the slots a tad lower because the end of the embossed greeting is covered by the tab, but it's still super cute and very much legible, I think. So now all we need to do is to add foam strips at the back of the circle, following the stitch line, to make sure that my Give It a Whirl panel will slightly be raised next to the images on both sides of the scene. And that's it, we are done. Once again, I couldn't help myself. I had to create a busy scene. These are definitely my favorite. I like all the process, starting from choosing which image will fit the theme, to coloring them and sticking them to see the scene I pictured in my head finally come to life. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have an amazing day and I will see you on the next one. Bye.